My roommate, jealous of my insane luck, secretly stole my protective talisman, hoping to transfer my good fortune to herself. What she didn't know was that I was born cursed, followed by misfortune my whole life. The good luck I had now was bought and paid for from the underworld. And stealing from an underworld collector meant you'd have vengeful ghosts coming to collect the debt. I woke up, and the necklace was gone from my neck. A cold sweat broke out over my skin. I frantically tore my bed apart, and when I confirmed it wasn't there, I ripped open my bed curtain and snapped. Which one of you saw my necklace? I'm usually pretty easygoing and had never blown up like that before. My roommates were all stunned. Jessica rolled her eyes. Anna, what the hell is your problem? She shot back. It's first thing in the morning. Who'd want your cheap junk anyway? Chloe chimed in. Seriously, what valuable thing could a poor girl like you possibly own that's worth stealing? Lily just shook her head slightly and mumbled, I didn't see it. My necklace was a talisman that kept me alive. Ever since I was a kid, I never took it off except to shower. It was on my neck when I went to sleep last night, but it vanished by the time I woke up. I scanned my 3 roommates, my gaze cold, and said one word at a time, I don't care which one of you took it. You'd better return it right now. If you get into trouble later, don't say I didn't warn you. Jessica put down her eyebrow pencil and crossed her arms, her face a mask of disdain. If you think we stole it, then call the cops and have us all arrested. Chloe snorted. Call the cops? For her $5 piece of trash? The police wouldn't even bother to file a report. Beside them, Lily shrank back and said nothing. Seeing their reactions, I had a pretty good idea of what happened. Since none of them would admit it, I didn't waste any more words and yanked my bed curtain shut. I'd given them their warning. If they were determined to dig their own graves, there was nothing more I could do. The next day, Jessica was in the dorm showing off her new purse, just like always. Unlike the knockoff she usually carried, this time it was a new runway piece from Louis Vuitton. Jessica, you got another new bag. I'm so jealous you have so much spending money, Chloe said, her voice dripping with envy. When will I ever get to carry an LV bag? Some things, you're either born with or you're not. If you aren't, you can forget about it for the rest of your life, Jessica said, pointedly glancing at me. Chloe immediately jumped in. Exactly. Some people have champagne taste on a beer budget. They can't stand to see others doing well, so they go around making things up and accusing people of stealing their stuff. Alright, that's enough. We're all roommates. No need to be so harsh. Jessica was in a particularly good mood today, so she generously pulled a purse she'd used before from her closet and shoved it into Chloe's arms. Since you like LV so much, you can have this one. I've only worn it on campus once. I hope you don't mind. Chloe's hands were trembling with excitement. She stammered out several thank yous before reverently putting the bag away. Jessica and I never got along, so I was surprised when she walked over to me and offered me a bag too, as if granting a favor. I didn't even lift my eyelids. Take it away. I don't need it, I said flatly. Jessica didn't expect me to be so blunt. She was about to lose her temper when Chloe greedily snatched the bag. Jessica, since Anna doesn't want it, can I have it? She pleaded. Jessica shot me a look, annoyed at my lack of gratitude, then turned to Chloe with an arrogant air. Whatever. Take it. Chloe and Lily were both from ordinary families. Their knowledge of luxury goods was limited to recognizing a logo. Seeing Jessica with a new Chanel one day and a Louis Vuitton the next, they assumed she was some kind of rich heiress. But I was the only one who knew that Jessica was actually a student on financial aid from a poor, rural area. I had seen her submitting her financial aid application when I was dropping off documents at the student government office. She mistakenly thought I was there for the same reason. At first, she was worried I'd expose her when she started showing off in the dorm, but when I stayed quiet, she assumed I was just a pushover and became even more brazen. I had no intention of starting fights, but I never imagined she'd target me, stealing the talisman that kept me alive. I am the sole heiress of the Chun family fortune. Because my ancestors used some less than honorable means to build their wealth, the consequences fell upon their descendants. The Chun family always struggled to have children. My father and mother were married for 20 years without any luck. After seeking out every doctor and remedy, they finally had me when my father was 50. As the only child, I was showered with love from the day I was born. But even with a team of professional nannies and nutritionists caring for me, I was frail, sickly, and plagued by one disaster after another. When I was 3, a high fever nearly killed me. My grandfather sensed something was wrong and immediately summoned a spiritual master to perform an exorcism. The master took one look at my pale, emaciated form and just shook his head. He said I was born to bear the misfortunes of others, and that they wouldn't be able to keep me. Hearing this, my mother almost fainted. She clutched me tightly, dropped to her knees, and begged the master to save my life. Finally, after my entire family pleaded with him, he relented. He gave me a talisman. On the 15th of every lunar month, at midnight, I could use it to summon an underworld collector, and by luck. It cost $10,000 for 1 point of luck. As long as my luck value stayed above 60, I could live a normal life. To ensure his precious daughter grew up safely, my dad worked himself to the bone, turning our small family company into a publicly traded corporation in just a few years. Last year, it even made the Fortune 500 list. With his newfound wealth, my dad was incredibly generous. Not only did he spend a fortune every month to max out my luck, but he also funded roads, bridges, and all sorts of charities to accumulate good karma for me. Because of this, I not only grew up healthy and safe, but my luck was even better than the average person's. Even so, I was always careful to avoid trouble. I was born with a weak constitution. Even with good luck on my side, I was more fragile than others. I never thought that even by keeping such a low profile, I would still become a target. Looking at the smug, triumphant Jessica these days, I had a bad feeling. My luck had always been good, but it was small-scale stuff, winning first prize in a supermarket raffle, or getting the last loaf of my favorite bread at the bakery. But ever since my talisman disappeared, Jessica had been buying lottery tickets non-stop. At first, it was just small wins of a few $100s. Today, she hit a $20,000 jackpot. Jessica clutched the winning ticket, grabbed her purse, and was about to head out to cash it. We were roommates, after all. Even if we didn't get along, I couldn't just watch her throw her life away for a bit of money. For once, I kindly reached out to stop her. Jessica, I'm warning you, don't touch money that isn't yours. Jessica clutched her purse defensively and shoved me away. Anna, I'm warning you. Mind your own business. With that, she ran out of the dorm, giddy with excitement. I rubbed my shoulder where she'd pushed me and couldn't help but sigh. Fine. You can't save someone who's determined to die. Let her be. After collecting her winnings, Jessica extravagantly booked a banquet hall at a 5-star hotel and invited everyone to celebrate. I refused without a second thought. I wanted to warn Chloe and Lily not to go either, but then I remembered how they usually treated me and kept my mouth shut. The underworld isn't like the human world, it values integrity above all. Before the master left, he specifically warned me that when a collector comes for a debt, you must never be late. Otherwise, you'll be haunted by vengeful ghosts and condemned to eternal suffering. Jessica had used up so much luck there was no way she could pay it back. When the collector got angry, I feared anyone who had accepted her gifts would also be implicated. Over the next few days, Jessica was still out all hours, returning each time with bags and bags of new things. Seeing the endless stream of designer brands, I calculated that the $20,000 was probably long gone. It was the 15th of the month again. The collector arrived at midnight as usual to collect his fee. As a client of over a decade, he knew the way. He appeared by my side, but didn't smell the familiar summoning incense. What's going on? The necklace isn't on you. I told him everything about how it had been stolen. The collector scratched his head, unsure of who to collect the debt from. He said he would report back to the Ghost King and return the next day. The following night, a scream echoed through the dorm. Chloe turned on the light to see Jessica thrashing in her bed, tearing at her own hair and curling into a ball, screaming hysterically. A ghost! A ghost! What money? I don't have any money. Go away. Jessica, what's wrong? You're scaring me. Did you have a nightmare? Chloe tried to approach and comfort her, but Jessica grabbed her pillow and hurled it at her. Stay away from me. Chloe froze, not knowing what to do. Lily clutched her blanket, terrified. They thought Jessica had lost her mind. Only I knew that a pale-faced ghost with bruised, black eyes, the collector, was standing right by Jessica's bed, closing in on her. Jessica's frenzy didn't stop until dawn. I thought I could finally get some sleep. I'd barely closed my eyes when a basin of cold water splashed over my head, shocking me awake. Jessica stood before me, disheveled, her eyes bloodshot. She looked more terrifying than any ghost. Anna, you tell me the truth. Was that you last night? Did you set that up? I wiped the water from my face and met her gaze. Seeing the dark circles under her eyes and the black aura clouding her forehead, my anger dissipated. I told you not to touch money that wasn't yours, but you wouldn't listen. From now on, they're going to come for you every night. I hope you can keep it down. Don't wake the rest of us. Jessica caught the hidden meaning in my words. Anna, what do you know? She demanded. That person last night, you sent them to scare me, didn't you? Let me tell you, I'm not afraid of your little ghost stories. Even now, Jessica was still in denial. Whatever you say. I shrugged, unwilling to argue with a madwoman. The collector came back 2 more times. Convinced it was all a prank orchestrated by me. Jessica just pulled her blanket over her head and refused to open her eyes. Unable to do anything, the collector left in a huff. After he was gone for good, Jessica became cocky again. As she passed my bed, she deliberately lowered her voice to taunt me. Anna, I thought you were so powerful. Turns out you're nothing special. I was speechless. Even in the human world, we have the saying 3rd time's the charm. The collector had come 3 times, and Jessica had refused to pay each time. The next visit wouldn't be nearly so polite. Sure enough, within 3 days, the collector's punishment arrived. During class that day, the bright, sunny sky was suddenly blotted out by a dark cloud. A flock of crows appeared on the tree branches outside the window. They were enormous, with piercing red eyes, and they were staring straight into the classroom. The scene was utterly bizarre. A cold wind swept through, and the crows took flight, crashing into the windows. The rhythmic thudding quickly drew the students' attention. The professor, annoyed, tapped the blackboard to get everyone to focus, but before he could finish his sentence, the glass shattered with a loud crash. Screams erupted as the crows poured into the room. The classroom descended into chaos, but everyone quickly calmed down when they realized something strange. The crows weren't attacking randomly. They were swarming in one direction. And at the center of their swarm was Jessica. The crows were vicious, intent on tearing pieces of flesh from her body. Jessica's screams of pain were horrifying, but no one dared to go near her. 5 minutes later, the crows dispersed. Jessica lay on the floor, covered in blood, not a single patch of her skin left unscathed. The entire class was frozen, horrified by the gruesome sight. Finally, it was the professor who, with trembling hands, dialed 911. Jessica's injuries looked terrifying, but they were mostly superficial. She regained consciousness quickly. She saw me sitting by her bed, my expression cold and indifferent. Forgetting her pain, she ripped the 4-needle from her arm and stumbled out of bed, kneeling before me. She slammed her head on the floor, over and over. Anna, I was wrong. I'll give you the necklace back. Please, I'm begging you, save me. I held out my hand, telling her to give me the necklace first. But Jessica made no move to take it off, she just kept kowtowing. I didn't want to waste any more time on her. How much luck did you use? I asked directly. A luck. Jessica looked completely baffled. She didn't seem to be lying. I frowned and pressed on. How much money have you gotten recently? About $80,000. This time, she answered quickly. Then give me back the necklace, and give me $80,000, and maybe I can save your life. Before I could finish, Jessica's face twisted with rage. She scrambled up from the floor and pointed a finger at my nose, screaming, Anna, are you insane? $80,000? Why don't you just rob me? I'm telling you, if anything happens to me, I'll come back as a ghost and haunt you forever. Seeing that she wasn't done yelling and was about to throw something at me, I grabbed my bag and walked out. Whatever. It wasn't my life on the line. Besides, while she was unconscious, I'd already checked her. The necklace wasn't on her. Combined with her reaction just now, I suspected someone else was pulling the strings behind the scenes. Realizing how serious this was, I immediately called my family. The next morning, I saw a familiar figure waiting for me outside the dorm. Leo, my childhood friend. Unlike my family, Leo's family were renowned philanthropists for generations. As the sole heir for 9 generations, Leo was not only born with incredible luck, but under his grandfather's tutelage, had also become proficient in all sorts of spiritual arts. You could call him a half-decent exorcist. I led him to a secluded corner, but before I could speak, a sly grin spread across his face. "Anna, it's broad daylight. Why'd you bring me into the woods?" I ignored his playful teasing and got straight to the point. I was just going to teach her a lesson and get my necklace back, but I think this is much more complicated than I thought. Leo's playful demeanor vanished. He pulled a file from his coat. "I had someone look into it as soon as I got your message last night. Jessica comes from a poor family but has expensive tastes. To support her lifestyle, she was dating 3 men at once. One of them is highly suspicious." I followed his finger to a name on the page. Julian, 39, unemployed. This guy has no family, practically no social footprint. Yet he's always throwing money around. I've already got someone tailing him. They'll contact us as soon as they have anything. To stay in touch, Leo rented an apartment near campus. He would often use sharing intel as an excuse to have me over for dinner. I knew he was trying to help replenish my luck, so I didn't refuse. From the moment I lost the talisman, my luck had been slowly draining away. Since it started at its maximum, the effects weren't immediately noticeable. But as time went on, I could feel my energy waning. Leo had the opposite constitution to mine. Just being around him helped replenish my depleted luck. That day, Leo sent me a picture of dinner, telling me to come over. As I was about to leave, Lily blocked my path. She gripped my arm, her entire body trembling like a leaf. Her words were a jumbled mess. "Anna, save me. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Please, I'm begging you, save me." I had a sinking feeling that what she was about to say was related to my necklace. I grabbed her by the shoulders, my expression serious, forcing her to calm down and explain. Through her sobs, Lily confessed that Jessica had caught her cheating on an exam. A few days ago, Jessica had cornered her, threatening to report her to the dean's office unless she helped steal my necklace. "Anna, I'm so sorry. I just didn't want to get expelled." I never expected Lily to be involved. My mind was a mess. I mumbled a few words of comfort and hurried out the door. I never imagined that the next day, Lily would be found dead in the bathroom. The medical examiner ruled the cause of death as cardiac arrest. The police closed the case, and the university simply urged students to pay more attention to their health. Everyone thought it was a tragic accident. Only we knew it wasn't that simple. As they carried Lily's body away, I cried uncontrollably, begging them to let me see her one last time. The police, seeing how distraught I was, agreed. I pulled Leo with me to the body. He lifted the white sheet, took one look, and his face went pale. After the crowd dispersed, Leo spoke, his voice grave. "Anna, she was used as a scapegoat. Normally, a person who just died should still have some residual luck. But I saw the space between her eyebrows was completely white, and her hands were withered. Her luck was drained from her body. It's a vicious, dark art. A person whose luck is stolen like that can never be reincarnated. Your roommate is into some serious stuff." I was confused. An average person's luck value is around 60 or 70. The methods to steal luck are not only dangerous but also create terrible karma. Only someone extremely greedy and lazy would risk it. Of course, there was another possibility. The person was like me, born with a natural deficit of luck, forced to steal it from others to survive. No, there's another possibility. The person behind this might not be human at all. Leo interrupted, his expression grim. Ghosts can't stay in the human world for long. But if they absorb a large amount of luck, they can look just like ordinary people, even evading the underworld's collectors. So you're saying, the culprit could be a ghost who escaped from the underworld? Leo nodded. We can't rule it out. To prevent more people from getting hurt, I asked Leo for some summoning incense and called the collector that night. When the collector heard he'd been tricked, his bruised, black eyes nearly popped out of his head. He immediately pulled out his ledger. After checking and rechecking, he tilted his head in confusion. This is strange. The one who used the luck was indeed Jessica, but the talisman was bound to Lily's birth details. The collector was stumped. He said he had to return to the underworld, report to the Ghost King, and check the mirror of retrospection to figure it out. Strange things kept happening at school. First, Jessica was attacked by crows, then Lily died suddenly. Even though the school radio kept broadcasting messages to reject superstition and embrace science, the students and faculty were on edge. One professor even suggested hiring a master to perform a cleansing ritual, but the proposal was, of course, rejected. Bowing to the pressure, the university decided to suspend classes for a week, telling everyone to rest in their dorms and minimize unnecessary outings. The day the announcement was made, Jessica came back. Her complexion was rosy. She looked fully recovered. There wasn't a single scar on her from the crow attack. Seeing me staring at her, a triumphant smile spread across her face. "Anna, sorry to disappoint you. Not only am I perfectly fine, but I'm doing better than ever." She dangled a set of car keys in front of us. Chloe's eyes lit up, and she immediately rushed over to suck up to her. I just gave her a cold look and said nothing. I used to think Jessica was just vain and materialistic, but I never imagined she could be this vicious and cold-blooded. She'd sacrificed a roommate's life for her own selfish desires, and was now shamelessly profiting from it. Before, Jessica was despicable, but her actions weren't a death sentence. If the underworld had taken her life by force, it would have invited punishment from the heavens. But now, Jessica had a life on her hands. Not even God could save her now. The Ghost King's sentence came quickly. That night, I was sleeping fitfully when a chill seeped into my bones, waking me up. I opened my eyes, and the sight before me almost made me scream. The entire dorm was bathed in an eerie red light. A woman in a white dress, one side of her face rotting and crawling with maggots, was drifting through the room. A small ghost boy in a bib with no pupils in his eyes followed behind her. Seeing me sit up, the woman floated over with the boy and sniffed the air around me. I was so scared I couldn't even breathe. Realizing I wasn't the one she was looking for, the ghost passed right through me. The bone-deep cold made my teeth chatter, but I couldn't make a sound. I'd been silenced, my limbs paralyzed. I could only watch as the vengeful mother and son glided over to Jessica's bed. Jessica was still sound asleep. The woman extended her long nails and clawed at her face. "Ah!" Jessica screamed. Blood streamed down her cheeks and onto her neck. Seeing the apparition before her, she forgot the pain and shrieked, "A ghost! There's a ghost! Help me!" Clutching her mangled face, she scrambled toward the door, but no matter how hard she pushed, it wouldn't budge. The little ghost behind the woman giggled, his empty mouth wide, and floated towards her. He grabbed a handful of Jessica's hair and bit down hard on her neck. Jessica's screams died in her throat. Her hands clawed desperately at the door, her legs flailing. Her whole body twisted in agony. The woman floated next to her, her voice shrill and full of rage. "So you're the bitch who stole my luck?" Ghosts with overwhelming resentment can't enter the cycle of reincarnation. However, the Ghost King, taking pity on those who suffered tragic fates, created a special provision. These vengeful ghosts can assist collectors in their duties to earn luck points. On the 15th of every month, when the gates of the underworld open, collectors come to the human world to trade with those who need luck. Once the vengeful ghosts save up enough, they can go to the pool of purification, wash away their resentment, and be reborn. Jessica had used so much luck and refused to pay. The mother and son were so furious they wanted to tear her to pieces on the spot. The woman grabbed Jessica's hair and lifted her off the ground, while the little ghost clapped his hands and danced in circles. Just as her blackened hand was about to plunge into Jessica's chest and rip out her heart, a flash of white light shot out. The mother and son let out a piercing shriek and were thrown back by an invisible force. The eerie red light that had enveloped the dorm vanished in an instant. The barrier was broken. Jessica lay in a bloody heap on the floor. The sound of Chloe's long, rhythmic snores filled the room again. I touched my throat, coughed lightly, and found my voice had returned. I immediately called Leo and told him to come get me. When I heard him say, "Anna, wait for me, I'm on my way," a wave of relief washed over me. My body went limp, and I fainted. I woke up in Leo's apartment. He was sitting anxiously by my bed. Seeing me awake, he quickly handed me a glass of warm water. Anna, you're finally awake. When I got to your dorm, you were pale and freezing. You scared me to death. Leo wiped the corner of his eye as he spoke. I was in no mood for a heart-to-heart. I spilled out everything that had happened last night like a flood. When I mentioned the white light that had appeared on Jessica, Leo suddenly pulled a white paper talisman from his pocket and showed it to me. Anna, is this what you're talking about? I just found this on Jessica. I took the talisman, feeling that something was off. Normal talismans are yellow. This one was white with black characters, kind of like a funeral banner. Leo had guessed my thoughts. This is a legendary ghost talisman, he explained patiently. I've seen it mentioned in my grandfather's books. They say only a spiritual master who becomes a vengeful ghost after death can create one. But masters usually believe in the heavenly path and have the ability to see fate, so it's extremely rare for them to die unjustly and become a vengeful ghost. This ghost talisman hasn't been seen in 300 years. I can't believe it showed up on Jessica. Hearing this, I remembered something else that was strange. Jessica was attacked by those crows before, right? But when she came back, she didn't have a single scar. Leo put the ghost talisman away and sighed. Even a ghost with immense power can't change what's already happened. The wounds wouldn't have just disappeared. I'm afraid someone else had to pay the price. After being attacked by the vengeful ghosts that night, Jessica vanished without a trace. Chloe woke up to find 2 of her roommates gone and blood all over the dorm floor. She freaked out and called 911. The police called me for questioning while I was sleeping. Leo answered for me. He simply said I wasn't feeling well, and that he had picked me up from the dorm that morning. There were security cameras in the hallway and a sign-out log with the dorm manager. After the police verified his story, they didn't bother us again. 3 days later, I went back to the dorm to grab some clothes. The moment I opened the door, I saw Chloe wearing a mask, a hat, and completely covered from head to toe, leaving only a pair of bloodshot eyes visible. Her get-up startled me. I was about to ask her what the hell she was doing. But Chloe ripped off her heavy coat, hat and mask and lunged at me. Anna, save me. I know you have connections. For the sake of us being roommates, you can't just leave me to die. Chloe's body was covered in dense, overlapping scars. The most horrifying were the deep gashes on her face that ran from her eyebrows to her chin. When I didn't respond, she became frantic, her voice raspy and hoarse. Now Lily's dead and I'm like this. Anna, if you don't save me, you'll be next. I had felt a sliver of pity for Chloe, but hearing her words, I couldn't help but scoff internally. She was already in deep trouble, and was still trying to threaten me. My face hardened. Chloe, I said, my voice cold, everything in this world has a cause and effect. I never took anything from Jessica, so I have nothing to fear from her. But you were greedy and took things you shouldn't have. This is your karma. You'll just have to live with it. With that, I pushed past her, grabbed a few things from my closet, and left. Using the ghost talisman as a clue and my family's immense resources, we quickly learned everything about Julian's past and his current whereabouts. Leo called his grandfather, who was traveling the country in his retirement. He told him that Anna from the Chun family had gotten mixed up with some nasty business, and that he needed to come back right away. Leo's grandfather teased him a bit, but then his tone shifted. He warned us not to make any moves and to wait for him to get back before doing anything. A sick girl and a half-assed exorcist going head-to-head with a powerful ghost was suicide. Even if his grandfather hadn't said anything, we had no intention of going it alone. Since my dorm had become a hotspot for trouble, my advisor readily approved a month-long leave for me to go home and rest. Leo and I decided it would be safer to move back home where there were more people, and wait for his grandfather to return before trying to get my talisman back. Just as we finished packing and were about to leave, 2 uninvited guests blocked our path. Julian was dressed in a white traditional robe, holding a folding fan. He looked refined and scholarly, but his triangular eyes were full of cunning. The scantily clad Jessica clung to his arm and said to us in a syrupy voice, well, where are you 2 off to? Leo pushed me behind him, his eyes fixed on Julian. Julian, I know what you want. Let Anna go, and I'll go with you. Julian didn't speak, but Jessica couldn't hold back. She sneered. Who do you think you are, trying to bargain with us? Let me tell you, neither of you is getting away today. Shut up. Julian slapped Jessica across the face, then turned to Leo with a deceptively friendly smile. Of course. As long as you come with us quietly, Mr. Leo, I certainly won't make things difficult for this young lady. No. He can't. Leo can't go. I tried to object, but found that Leo had placed a silencing spell on me at some point. All I could do was shake my head frantically at him. He took my hands and soothed me gently. Anna, listen to me. That place is one of pure darkness. You can't go there. I watched, helpless, as Leo got into the car with them. I couldn't do anything. As the car's exhaust faded, my voice returned. I fumbled for my phone to call Leo's grandfather, but I found a small porcelain bottle in my pocket. It was summoning incense. In the car, Jessica rubbed her red, stinging cheek and whined to Julian. Julian, you hit me so hard. You said you wanted that bitch Anna. Why did you let her go so easily? You idiot. Anna is a short-lived jinx, born with a luck deficit. She's worthless to me. Jessica was confused. But then why did you have me steal her necklace? You told me you saw her giving money to some shadowy figure every month on the 15th. I figured she had to be someone with a luck deficit. The world is all about balance. Where there's someone with a major lack of luck, there's usually someone with an abundance of it nearby. So your target was Leo all along? A bitter taste filled Jessica's mouth. If Leo was the target from the start, why go through all this trouble? Why make her suffer so much and get 2 of her roommates killed? She used to help Julian trick other girls and drain their luck, but it had never resulted in anyone's death. Thinking about how her once peaceful life had been thrown into chaos, Jessica felt a rare pang of regret. Julian saw the look on her face and snorted. It's because you're useless. Look at the trash you brought me. Their luck was barely worth anything, and they just caused me more trouble. He could tell that this Leo kid had some skill. If he hadn't just expended so much energy dealing with that vengeful mother-son duo for Jessica, he wouldn't have risked making a move on Leo so soon. Jessica knew he was right. She shrank back and didn't say another word. The car drove to an old, abandoned cemetery on the outskirts of the city. Seeing the field of burial mounds, Jessica felt her hair stand on end. She wrapped a jacket around herself and followed nervously behind Julian. Leo got out of the back seat, took off his blindfold and scoffed. You certainly know how to pick a spot. I would have preferred a more scenic location for our meal, but unfortunately, your constitution is a bit special. I'm afraid you'll have to be buried here. Leo's luck was so potent that even an underworld collector couldn't handle it, let alone a weakened ghost like Julian. Only on this unhallowed ground could he hope to suppress Leo's overwhelming fortune. Leo clicked his tongue impatiently. Enough with the monologues, you freak. We don't know who's going to win this yet. Such a big talker for a little boy. Just accept your fate. Once I consume you, not even the collectors will be able to touch me. With that, Julian transformed into his true form, a skeleton in tattered robes. He lunged at Leo. Leo pulled a string of peachwood beads from his wrist and quickly recited an incantation. The two forces clashed, but after only a few seconds, Leo's bracelet shattered, the beads scattering across the ground. He stumbled backward, fell, and coughed up a mouthful of blood. Julian looked down at Leo's pathetic state and sneered. Ah, just a brat. You really thought you could challenge me? He extended a skeletal claw, ready to absorb Leo's luck. At that critical moment, a peachwood sword flew straight at his heart. Julian barely dodged it, but the sword still tore a gash in his robe. I rushed forward and helped the injured Leo to his feet, anxiously checking his wounds. Leo's grandfather walked over calmly, glanced at Leo, and said nonchalantly, Anna, don't worry about him. This kid is tough. Leo nodded in agreement. I'm fine. The most important thing is that Anna's talisman is still on that ghost. Grandpa, hurry up and get rid of this freak. You ungrateful brat. Aren't you afraid of getting your old grandpa killed? His grandfather was so angry he looked like he was about to blow a gasket. If it weren't for the fact that Leo was injured, he probably would have picked up a stick and whacked him. Seeing us chatting away as if he weren't even there, Julian gathered a ball of ghostly energy in his palm, preparing for a sneak attack. Suddenly, a fierce wind howled, kicking up dust and sand. The underworld collector emerged slowly from the mist. Julian realized something was wrong and tried to flee, but he was instantly bound by soul-locking chains that shot out from all directions. The collector held the chains and bellowed, "You wretched ghost! You've been hiding for years, harming countless souls. Come with me and face the Ghost King's judgment." Seeing Julian captured, Jessica, though her legs were weak with fear, scrambled up and tried to run back to the car. But the moment she moved, a few vengeful ghosts noticed her. Without Julian's protection, the sin-stained Jessica was quickly devoured by the resentful spirits. Realizing it was all over, Julian let out a sudden crazed laugh. He broke free from the chains and pulled my necklace from his robes. He stared at Leo with venomous hatred. "You brat, you ruined my chance at immortality. Now I'm taking this girl with me." With that, he summoned a ball of eerie blue fire in his hand, and my talisman instantly turned to ash. The collector raised his soul-whipping lash and smashed Julian's already broken body into fragments. Leo's eyes turned crimson as he watched the pieces of the burnt talisman scatter from the sky. He clenched his fists, ready to charge forward and tear Julian to shreds. "Leo!" Without thinking, I grabbed him. He's already been captured by the collector. He'll face his punishment in the underworld. Why would you stain your hands with his death now? Leo's body went stiff. After a long moment, he slowly turned to me, his voice trembling. "Anna, without that talisman, you'll die." Even though my life was on the line, I was calmer than anyone. "No, I won't. There has to be a way." I forced a smile. "Worst case, I'll just stick to you for the rest of my life. You can be my personal power bank, always ready to recharge my luck." After we got back, I fell gravely ill. I lay in the hospital for 3 whole days before I finally woke up. Seeing my worried parents by my bedside, my eyes welled up. I wanted to cry out all the fear and anxiety I'd been holding in. "Oh, my child, you nearly scared me to death. You're the only child I have. If anything happened to you, how could your father and I go on?" My mom's sobs were heart-wrenching. My dad stood beside her, sniffling and wiping his tears. Their tandem wailing managed to cry away any guilt I was feeling. I was suddenly thankful I hadn't involved them sooner. With their delicate sensibilities, they probably would have been traumatized for life. As their crying subsided, I was trying to figure out how to tell them my talisman had been destroyed when Leo and his grandfather walked in with a bouquet of flowers. The moment Leo saw my parents, he bowed deeply, his expression uncharacteristically serious. "Uncle, Auntie, I'm so sorry. I failed to protect Anna, and her talisman was destroyed. But don't worry, I'll take responsibility." His words hung in the air, and everyone in the room froze. I was completely baffled. I wanted to jump out of bed, grab Leo by the collar, and ask him what the hell he meant by take responsibility. My poor daughter. Mom can't go on. My mom's wail broke the silence. My dad swayed, nearly fainting. Leo's grandfather tapped his cane on the floor and slapped Leo on the back of the head. "What are you standing there for, you idiot? Finish what you were saying." Leo rubbed his head, embarrassed. "Uncle, Auntie, please calm down and listen." Over the past couple of days, my grandfather and I went through all our family books. We found a way to transfer my excess luck to someone else. That means Anna can live a normal life from now on. My parents' tears stopped instantly. They rushed over and hugged me, overjoyed. I was stunned by the incredible news, letting them hold me, 2 days to process it all. After a month off, I returned to campus. My advisor had kindly arranged a new dorm for me. My new roommates kept their distance. After all, the story of my old dorm, one dead, one injured, one missing, had spread like wildfire. As the sole survivor, I was naturally the subject of endless rumors. The story got crazier and crazier online. A journalist who specialized in supernatural events even found me, wanting to do a special report. Thinking back on the past few months, I felt a mix of emotions. Good and evil, fortune and misfortune, they are all connected. What you sow, you will eventually reap. Looking at the nearly 200,000 viewers in the live stream, I smiled faintly. Under the reporter's expectant gaze, I said calmly, "It was all just a series of coincidences. There's no such thing as supernatural events. Ignoring the disappointed and angry comments from the viewers, my expression suddenly turned cold. I added in a low, haunting voice, "Keep your hands to yourself and your conscience clear. Then you'll have no reason to fear a knock at your door." The end.